I went to graduate school in the early to mid-1980s at Texas Tech University. My major professor for both my Master of Science and Doctor of Philosophy degrees was Dr. Henry Albert Wright. Henry was an amazing person who was what was called a Horn professor, which is the Texas Tech equivalent of a Regents professor. So he was a renowned professor, perhaps best known for his sense of fairness. In fact, I was hosted on my first sabbatical leave at the University of California, Berkeley, and my host said in a conversation, there are several ways to become a famous department head, a renowned department head respected by many people. And he said, Henry did it, referring to Henry Wright. Henry did it through his sense of fairness. He just acted fairly all the time. And my host acted like that was the craziest thing ever. Like, why would you take that approach to become a renowned director of anything? In any event, Henry was an amazing individual. There were just over 100 graduate students, master's and PhD students, during the time I was at Texas Tech University. So it was a relatively small program, and it was a Department of Range, Wildlife, and Fisheries Sciences. All three of those. Because it was a relatively small department, all of us helped each other with our field work. So many people assisted me as I would go out in the field and conduct field research. And in return, I assisted dozens of people as they conducted their field research. As a result of being a department that focused on range, wildlife, and fisheries, we had a lot of organisms that were collected over the years. The administrator of the laboratory didn't have time to keep up with every little thing, so over time, animals accumulated and were put in freezers. People would conduct their research, they would leave to go to their next job. Nobody would remember that there were a bunch of skunks or snakes or fish or whatever in these freezers until one day the power went out. The power went out. It was amazing how quickly the stench permeated the entire building. In particular, the stench of whoever it was that had been working with snakes. Snakes use uric acid and create this uric acid as part of the digestion process. And it is just an unbelievably horrible smell. Incredible, really. And so who gets assigned the task of cleaning up all those freezers that were now unfrozen? The graduate students, of course. That's what graduate students are there for, after all, is to conduct research, have ideas, and clean up the messes of other graduate students. This was the very definition of the smell of death. I'm not talking here about the Lynyrd Skynyrd song, ooh, that smell. No, this is an amazing smell. And we dived in and cleaned up those freezers. Oh, it took several hours and filled an entire dumpster from several freezers worth of decaying bodies and not human bodies. It was an incredible experience. Interestingly, although fewer than 3.5% of PhD students go on after their PhD to secure a permanent position on a university campus as a technician or whatever, and fewer than 0.5%, meaning less than 1 in 100, go on to become full professors. And yet, several of the graduate students I was working with went on to these permanent university positions, and at least four that I can recall off the top of my head went on to become full professors. None did so except me that I know of before the age of 40, which is incredibly rare. In any event, that's a shaggy dog story, I understand, but the point is we all helped each other out, and even when the smell of death surrounded us, we managed to maintain our sense of humor as we were carrying buckets and boxes of dead bodies out to the dumpster and throwing them into the dumpster and high-fiving each other after we completed the task. After all, at the edge of extinction, or even at the edge of stench, only love remains.